Have you ever stopped to think about how a decision made in seconds can destroy years of peace? That's exactly what happened that night over the narrow sea. It wasn't a calculated act. It wasn't a declaration of war. It was one instant, and it changed everything. Put yourself in that scene. Wind cutting across your face, the sky pitch black, and suddenly the roar of something enormous rising through the clouds. Lucerys Valerion was riding Arax, young with no real battle experience, carrying out a diplomatic mission. He wasn't a soldier. He was a 16-year-old boy trying to be useful to his mother. Aemond Targaryen, on the other hand, was riding Vhagar. Vhagar, the largest living dragon, a creature that had watched the world change for over 100 years, a force of nature with scales like castle walls and fire enough to erase entire cities. The mismatch was absurd. Arax was young and terrified. Vhagar was war itself with wings. Aemond told himself it was just intimidation. At least that's what he kept saying. He wanted the eye Lucerys had taken from him years before. He wanted humiliation, not death. But Arax, in a panic, breathed fire at Vhagar, and that's when something happened that most people overlook when analyzing this moment. Vhagar acted on her own. Take a breath and let that sink in. The oldest, most powerful, most instinct-driven dragon in the world reacted before Aemond had time to think. Vhagar turned, bit down, and Lucerys, along with Arax, was torn apart over the ocean. Aemond hung suspended in that moment of horror. He didn't want this, or did he? That ambiguity is what makes the scene so deeply unsettling, because part of him knew exactly what riding Vhagar into that storm meant. You can't light a fire and pretend you didn't know it would burn. The news reached Rhaenyra in the most brutal way possible. No words, no explanation, just the sight of blood and scales carried in by the waves. And there, something inside her broke in a way that could never be undone. She had tried for peace. She had sent her son as a messenger, not a warrior, and the world sent his body back. The Dance of the Dragons, the bloodiest civil war in Targaryen history, didn't begin with a political speech or a planned battle. It began with a boy falling from the sky on a stormy night. That's what makes this scene so powerful. It isn't epic in any glorious sense. It's tragic in the most human sense possible. An accident with irreversible consequences. A chain of events where every person made a decision that seemed to make sense in the moment. And the result was catastrophe. Aemond underestimated just how much Vhagar was a force beyond his full control. Rhaenyra underestimated the hatred burning inside her nephew's chest. And both of them underestimated how badly that simple mission could go wrong. Lucerys' death wasn't just the death of a prince. It was the death of the last possibility that this war might never happen. After that moment, there was no more negotiation, no more hesitation. There was only fire and blood. And Rhaenyra, who had promised herself she would act with restraint, turned her eyes to the horizon and made the most devastating decision in the entire series. The question that lingers is this: if Vhagar hadn't acted on her own in that 1 second, would the war have happened anyway, or was the hatred already too deep for any dragon to hold back?